Want to also touch on some news from TKO. It looks like Mark Shapiro has revealed during a JP Morgan conference last week the TKO is going to be cutting back on house shows even more in the future. What do you make of that? I mean, do you feel like we're talking about how wrestling is changing, and Kenny Omega suggesting that hey, YouTube influencers may one day main event WrestleMania, and I don't see why not. I mean, we had a football player wrestle Bam Bam Bigelow in the main event, and we saw a movie star wrestle Sami Zayn and maybe steal the show a few years ago in the Jackass match. There will be a place for that match on a WrestleMania card. Kenny is exactly right. But to see that evolution and to see the evolution of the house show business, I mean, this used to be the lifeblood of professional wrestling. The television shows were considered almost an infomercial to get you to buy tickets for those live events. And all of that is changing now. And it's never been more clear than when the leader in the space says, yeah, we're going to run even fewer of those. I mean, there already weren't running many, Jeff, but to come back and say, yeah, expect even less. How does that strike you?
Who owns TKO? The reality. Anyway, what I'm saying is, I think WWE or TKO, they're going to run less house shows. But when one door closes, another one opens. I think the opportunities for independent wrestling and other promotions are going to continue to grow and grow and grow. But Conrad, you people and maybe the hardcore wrestling fan, and I'll say this, a music agent called me last week. He was looking at different things to buy. I mean, for fair shows and all. We just got into a good old conversation, but we had this conversation, and I said, WWE, and I didn't even know this would come out, but I said they've cut way back, but the opportunity for promotions around the globe continues to go. And he said, well, why do you say that? I said, all right, let's look at Major League Baseball. What was it, 4 years ago? The commissioner came in and they slashed 30 teams, then another 30. Anyway, they went from about 160 or 80 down to 120, and there's talk about 9. So Major League is removing as many minor league clubs as possible, but that's opening up for independent baseball, collegiate baseball, and more importantly, or more money involved, the NIL and college games. So there's actually more baseball being played. You look at basketball, when you look at the developmental system, Conrad, it used to be in high school, you played for your high school team, then to college, and you stayed 4 years, and then you went to the pro. Now, all the summer leagues, and I'm really giving a snapshot, but those guys are playing more ball. They play 12 months out of the year. Same in the music business. It used to have kind of a trajectory, but I mean, you can be an artist in Austin, in Nashville, in Florida, and you can weave your way up. So just because the leader in the marketplace, and I get it, that's why I was led with that question. Private equity, they're all about the ROI, period. And a big outfit like WWE, I'll say that, they can't roll into Jonesboro, Arkansas. Just to get in and out of town, they got to gross 150,000, maybe more or something like that. So the margins just aren't there. It just doesn't make any sense. And I get it because of their business model. But for another promotion, there's lots of money to be made in, I'll say, even B and C and D markets. So I get why WWE's doing it, because they report half to the street and half to private equity. I don't envy them, because I do think there is a kind of a long-term effect. WWE will always get the talent. They write, AEW and WWE write the big checks, but the developmental, and they'll get there, and the Mr. Beast, all this. It's fun just to see how you can take it a bunch of different ways, but there's a reason why independent wrestling is being embraced across the board, because that is where the talent's going to come from. But that quote unquote house shows, I get it. But I do think, Jesus, man. And back to my call, I said, if there's really smart promoters out there that, because there's promoters out there that will promote rock and Tejano and classic, whatever. I said, man, if they get their hands around promoting wrestling, I said, you in the right markets, you can come back 2, maybe 3 times a year if you do it smart. And anyway, that's how the conversation ended. So Doesn't surprise me, Conrad, but I think the big takeaway from all of that is Shapiro is basically saying, we got to have profit at every turn, and that's great, but that presents opportunities for others in the industry.
Let's talk about another opportunity for somebody else in the industry we both think a lot of. Miz has been named the new host of American Gladiators. The report is they're going to lean into the nostalgic version of American Gladiators, the one, well, everybody my age grew up watching, not necessarily the relaunch that Hulk Hogan and Layla Ali did, or even the, I don't know, I guess it was Titan Games, I think, that Rock called it on NBC a few years ago. Neither one of those really worked. But there is still an appetite for nostalgia. Thank you for tuning into my world today, by the way. I'm a big fan of the American Gladiators, and I think Miz as a host, that could be really, really cool. Were you an American Gladiators fan? Do you think this has upside for Miz?
I remember as a little kid saying, oh, they're doing a takeoff on professional wrestling, because it had kind of that vibe to it. Our friend, Nick Aldis, was a gladiator. And Conrad, I don't know if you know this, but today, as we speak, I think the season is coming to an end in the UK. But Conrad, over the last year, they've set monster ratings in the UK, Gladiators. So it is an old nostalgia format. But what's, as my friend Dutch Mantel often would say, hey, man, what's old's new again? But it will do well. I truly believe. Did I see? I was reading that quick. Amazon Prime, is that where it's going to land at?
Yes, that's right. It's going to be on Amazon Prime. The same people who just carved off Mr. Beast a boatload of cash for Beast Games and then renewed it. So
content is king, pal. Amazon, they got a few bucks to. Wouldn't you say, Conrad? They got a few bucks to spend.
I think so.
They've been about 3 times already today. Damn it.
Batista is also making some news. He was recently doing an interview, and he was asked to compare his Hollywood lifestyle with his wrestling lifestyle. And he claims that Hollywood is a cakewalk compared to being a pro wrestler. He says, quote, being in Hollywood and being on a film set, it's long hours, but compared to the grind of being a professional wrestler, it's just a cakewalk. I mean, it's night and day. And we've heard from a lot of people who get frustrated with all the hurry up and wait that happens on a movie set, but I don't think that those people realize that there's a fair amount of hurry up and wait when you're producing live wrestling for television too. What do you make of this? Hollywood is a cakewalk compared to being a pro wrestler.
Well, Batista ain't the first person to say that. Certainly won't be the last. I've worked with different stuntmen and had conversation with those guys, obviously actors and actresses, professional athletes. And look, Stone Cold, he was very, very clear, because he's done TV, he's done film, obviously done wrestling, and he's just like, guys, it's kind of a no-brainer. You fly into a town and go work out, and then come to a building, and yes, it is such a unique form of entertainment that people that are in other forms of entertainment, when they find out really what wrestling is about, it's just a complete head scratcher. Like, you do what? Yeah. So I chuckle, but good for Batista for voicing it. I'm glad it kind of gets out there, because I do think in the whole DNA of professional wrestling, it's always ebbed and flowed. Oh, y'all just do that phony stuff. And once people really come around to it, you go, oh, okay, maybe it's not so phony. But yeah, it's the bumps and the physicality and the travel and the conditioning. It is a tough way to make a living.
Well, maybe you're ready to get off the hamster wheel. You know, the Federal Reserve data is showing that the share of accounts making only minimum payments has now climbed above 11% as of the first quarter of this year.
Damn.
That's the highest level since they started recording and tracking this data back in 2012. But at the same time, a recent survey from Experian found that 2 in 5 Americans are carrying credit card debt and believe that making the minimum payment is enough to manage it. But like millions of Americans, are you too struggling with high interest rate credit card debt? You feel stuck just making those minimum monthly payments? Well, you've heard me say time and time again, your home is still worth more than likely what you paid for it. So instead of carrying all that high interest rate debt month to month, why not use the equity in your home instead? Just take a look at Andy, my buddy up in Appleton, Wisconsin. He had some medical issues that forced him and his family to take on a lot of credit card debt. But we hooked him up at SaveWithConrad.com. We helped him take advantage of the equity he had in his home. He paid off that debt, and he's going to save more than $1,000 a month. But how much can you save? Let my team run the numbers for you today for free, just like we did for Andy. There's no cost and no obligation, and if we can't help you save some cash, we won't waste your time. It costs nothing to look, as our pal JR says. And when you work with the team at SaveWithConrad.com, you can also expect our year 3 guarantee. Experts agree that interest rates are set to fall within the next few years, but we have an exclusive 3-year guarantee that allows you to refinance in the next 3 years at any time with no lender fees. So you lock in a better rate, reduce your monthly payments today, but you don't waste money with a whole nother set of closing costs later. The best time to start saving money is today. Well, actually, it was yesterday, but today is the next best opportunity. So why not access some of that newfound equity in your house to turn your house into your dream home with no money out of pocket? If you've got some honey-do renovations you'd like to do, maybe you've always wanted to upgrade your kitchens or bathrooms, you've got the equity in your house to do that too. No matter what you're looking for, we can help at SaveWithConrad.com. Find out how easy it is to get started. And just so you know, you don't need perfect credit. So even if you've had some problems, we don't say no, we say not yet, but here's how. We want to get you on a path to making those financial goals a reality at SaveWithConrad.com. Why not let my family help your family save some cash at SaveWithConrad.com? NMLS number 2129, equal housing lender, SaveWithConrad.com.